Hi, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Week 12 Waiver Wire for fantasy football. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. I'm filling in for Dylan Clemens, who's a little under the weather right now, but I do have his picks for this week as he wrote the article. Make sure you go check that out over on FantasySixPack.net. So I'm going to be running through those with you here. And but before we jump into all that, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave those comments. We appreciate it. And of course, go over to fantasysixpack.net, become an all access member. You're going to get access to our award-winning rankings, all of our DFS content, our projections, all the betting content that we have. And the best of all, you get to contact us and hit us up for all the questions that you want and get some even more in-depth analysis in our members Discord. So go ahead and check that out. But let's jump into our first player for this week's waiver wire, and the obvious one, Zach Charbonnet, only rostered in 38.1% of leagues. I've actually I had him stashed in a couple leagues. It was sort of a hope play. Like there was always hope that like he was going to just start seeing more work, even with Kenneth Walker healthy, but it was never really happening. But of course, now we've got the Kenneth Walker injury. He injured his oblique early in the game this past week. So obliques are more known as baseball injuries. So, but from what I know from my history of playing fantasy baseball is that obliques can take a while. So I wouldn't be shocked if Kenneth Walker misses a few games. And so Zach Charbonnet jumps in and is the clear drop all the rest of the money you got fab budget guy for this week, in my opinion. He saw 15 rushes, didn't do a whole lot with it, unfortunately, only 47 yards, but PPR and even half PPR formats, 6 receptions for 22 yards. So this offense might become more reliant on the passing game, but Charbonnet is involved in that. So make sure you go take him and get him where you can. Next up here, we've got Jayden Reed of the Packers. And honestly, you could kind of flip-flop here with Romeo Doubs. I know a lot of people already, a lot more people roster Romeo Doubs. So we went with Jayden Reed here. And, it's interesting. Over the last couple of games, they both have about the same amount of targets. Jayden Reed's, been on the field slightly longer, one snap. But Jayden Reed's scoring touchdowns. And so is Doubs, but Jayden Reed's getting involved kind of all over the field. So this past week, he scored on the ground, and the week before that, he scored in the air. He's getting involved, and this guy's really starting to prove his worth here. Christian Watson is not a very reliable guy here, so it seems like the 1 and 2 in this offense that you want to start are Jayden Reed and Romeo Doubs. I got lucky with Watson this past week in Scott Fish, and but it hasn't been pretty. I had him on the bench until an injury hit me late. But go ahead and pick up Jayden Reed where you can. Next up here, Ty Chandler. He was on the list last week, and you can see that his rostership percentage went up to 47.8%. I got the hesitation. Alexander Madison, was healthy, so you thought it was just going to go back to him. But look, what wasn't talked about a lot this past week was Ty Chandler was seeing work in week 10 before the Madison injury happened. And so we saw it this game as well, where there was quite a bit of usage going both ways. Now, Madison did see more. He saw 45 snaps to 21 for Chandler, but Chandler definitely got his. And so there's something to be had here. And look, one injury away to being the guy. And, you can argue that Chandler has been the more productive and more efficient back when on the field. So, he had a 7.3 yards per average. He rushed for almost as many yards this past game as Madison in 8 less carries. He's also involved in the passing game more than Madison. So Chandler's going to bring some value here, and I know a lot of people are hurt at the running back position. And after this past week, with Aaron Jones going down and Kenneth Walker going down, it's going to be worse. So and HAN as well. So I know people are desperate for running back, and Chandler can be a very cheap source of points here in your flex, in my opinion. So next up here, we got Tutu Atwell of the Los Angeles Rams. This one's unfortunate because it is because of injury, and it is Mr. Cooper Kupp. And so we don't know, the severity of the injury to Cooper Kupp yet, but Tutu Atwell needs to be rostered in more than 25% of leagues going forward here, at least this week. In the off chance that Cooper Kupp misses time. And so, just to go back and let you know how Tutu Atwell played the first few weeks, he saw 9 targets 3 times and 8 targets once in the 4 games that Cooper Kupp missed. The results always weren't there, but you love the volume, and he wasn't like wide receiver 1 territory, but he finished wide receiver 3s and better every single one of those weeks except for one. So this offense is going to get going again, in my opinion. There's talk that running back Kyron Williams is going to be back this week as well. So that's just going to be something else to help them. Henderson and Freeman are not really getting it done, in my opinion. But Tutu Atwell needs to be rostered, especially if you roster Kupp, and so that you have an insurance policy there. Demario Douglas is next up, and this one, and I'm totally with Dylan on this one. I am a little confused on the rostership numbers here for Douglas. 28.2%. My guess is that it's because of the bye week, and people just dropped him because he's on a bye week. It's New England. They're not a great offensive team. I get everything you're saying. However, Douglas has finished as a top 30 wide receiver in 3 of his past 4 games. He is out targeting everybody on that team, and he's just producing when he gets the ball in his hands. The unfortunate part is we know that offense is struggling, and they're going to struggle to score points. We don't know if it's going to be Mac Jones. We don't know if it's going to be Bailey Zappi yet. So maybe that'll make a difference, maybe positively, maybe negatively. But Douglas has been a playmaker and somebody that I would at least stash on a bench. If you've got some dead weight, and just see what happens. Who knows if you have an injury pop up late in the week, like I did in Scott Fishbowl, and I had to throw in Christian Watson, you could do a lot worse than Demario Douglas. So these are the types of players that need to be rostered as like almost insurance policies. They're a little hard to start over some of the guys that you've probably got ahead of them on your roster. I get that, but they're nice players to have, and you don't want your league mates to have him. Last up here, and this one's a little bit of a reach. Rondale Moore, we're kind of running pretty thin on the waiver wire here. So the 6th player here we wrote about was Rondale Moore. He was behind the paywall part of the article last week as part of the deeper league guys, and he still might be kind of considered a deeper league guy. Look, targets really aren't there. He only saw 2 this week. He did see 9 the week before. However, he took a 48-yarder to the end zone this past week. Look, we know Kyler likes to throw the ball deep. Rondale Moore's got blazing speed. There wasn't a lot of pass attempts to go around in this game in general for the Cardinals for whatever reason. I mean, he threw the ball 30 times, but it was just spread around all over the place. Kyler is favoring the tight ends. Greg Dortch got 6. McBride saw 5. Those are receptions. But as far as targets go, Rondale Moore only only saw the 2. Granted, he caught 1 for 48 and the touchdown. But Marquise Brown, the guy that we all want to love and really like in this offense, and we hope gets going soon because we've seen it from him. He only saw 4 targets, only catching 2. He saw 5 the week before. It's just not really clicking there yet for them for whatever reason. So Rondale Moore is going to be a guy that, he's kind of a dart throw and kind of a Hail Mary. Like, you really need him to take one to the house, in my opinion, for him to make it work for you. But it's, if you kind of need an upside play, you could do a lot worse. So that is it for the week 12 waiver wire. Again, my name is Joe Bond. You can get me on Twitter at fantasy F6P_Joe. And again, hit the subscribe button and the like button. And good luck this week on your waiver wire. See ya.